Okay, boys and girls, been a long time coming, but I think I've got this review to where I can post it. This is DisThunder, and today we're going to take a look at the Mezco 112 Collective Batman animated Batman and Joker figures. And, oh, man, this has been a conflicted review for me. I will obviously be going into detail because that's what you do in a review, but I've been a bit conflicted over these figures, to be honest with you. And it's not because they're bad. Neither of these figures are bad at all. In fact, these are both quite good figures. The problem stems maybe from us just being a bit spoiled and getting maybe too much of a good thing, because there are a few things, particularly where Batman is concerned, that things could have been done better. But that is also kind of a personal preference thing. So you see where I'm conflicted on this. I'm going to try to, through the course of this review, I'm going to try to plead my case as best I can. I don't know if it's going to help or hurt anybody who's trying to make a decision on these figures, especially because, well, you probably should have made that decision already if you think you wanted them, because you're a little behind now. I think the biggest problem I've had, and it's a problem that I think anybody over the age of about 40 or 35 is going to have with these figures, is the rose tinting on the Batman animated series is really hard to overcome. And it's not to say it isn't deserved, because that series has aged so well. I rewatched some, obviously, while working on this, and that really kind of hyped me up and put me in a different headspace. And that may have been a mistake, because it ultimately made it a little bit harder to do the review. Let's do the review stuff first, and then I'll wax on a little bit more in detail. Hang on, let's finish up here. So, since I'm doing this video in pieces, we're going to switch back to what will now be past me, and we're going to go through articulation just in one shot, because it just makes more sense. So, I'm going to sum it up real easy by saying it's good, but it's not great. Maybe it's very good, just not, it falls short of where it could have been with a few other changes. So, starting at the top, we have just the barbell neck system, as you can see if we pop it off here. As you've heard people say, be very cautious about this matte finish. I have Mr. Super Hobby I can refinish it with if something were to happen to it, but just kind of be careful. And you see there's a sunken in barbell joint there. And that allows for adequate, I would say, motion. I mean, down's not going to give you anything. Side to side is okay. Looking around's not a problem. And looking up is actually not too bad. This does have some articulation in of itself, but it's not intended for it, so it is what it is. Now, the cape, you have a single wire that runs from leading edge to leading edge. And it's a stiff enough wire to do the job, so you don't necessarily have to have the other wire in the back. But as everybody else has already said, it sits forward a bit more than I would like, and there's really not a way to correct that without taking this off and repositioning it, which you can do, and I've done on the drape capes. But that's just something you need to be aware of. The other thing they could have done is, I do think this rides a little high. If this had been pegged into place like on previous Batman, that would have been a non-issue, but it is an embossed piece on the fabric itself, which has its own ups and downs. There's pluses to that, and there's drawbacks to that. Now, moving on to the rest of the body, though. So we do have a solid ball jointed shoulder with a little bit of a butterfly. You can feel like a filler space right here. It goes inward about that far. Outwards, no problem. And the suit really agrees with this articulation pattern. Rotate bicep swivel right there. Double jointed elbow, which stops short, and I'm not sure why. I think it's something to do with the new style of joints that they're using. It feels like I should be able to get more than that. It's adequate, but it could be better. You do have a gauntlet swivel, and then the standard Mezco ball jointed wrist, which does come in handy with if you want to get his hands together like in front of him. You can just about do it if you combine all the joint movement together. Yes, I don't know for the, don't mind that. So torso joint, same thing. Back is actually pretty damn good. Stuff there. And then forward is not that great. And that's engaging both joints, and that's as far as you're going to get. I'm not sure why that is. It may just be the cut based on the sculpting, because this is all smooth underneath. There's not the usual abdominal sculpting, so maybe something in the way that was stepped just didn't work properly. It's hard to say. But rotation is actually really good, and there's actually not a bad side to side there either. And there's the waist rotation. You see, it actually works more than most of the Mezco figures do at that waist joint. Ball jointed hips, although they are a flat ball jointed hip, you don't have a lot of bulge there. It's just kind of a smooth piece, and that will allow you to get just about 90 degrees. Same thing as the elbows with the knees. It's decent, but it should probably get a little bit more. It's something about the way that is designed is hitching itself, because as you notice here, there's not contact between the back of his thigh and the back of his shin. It's just stopping right there. And that may be because of fabric limitations. It's hard to say for literally why they did that. And then you do have a little bit of boot swivel, which does come in handy because these ankles, well, they suck. Swivel's fine, but up and down and even side to side is minimal at best. They're stable, which is nice because obviously they're skinny, so it helps with the stabilization of the figure, but these are some of the worst Mezco ankles I've ever experienced. And so there you go. It's all here, all the standard articulation that we normally get with a Mezco figure, and yet it doesn't quite work like it should. Or it's limited in funny ways. Like, it feels like something that we've already passed by in terms of figure evolution, that I don't feel like we should be relearning here. It is a departure. It's a new figure. It's a new body. It's a new style. But I don't know that those lessons that we learned in previous figures shouldn't have been able to carry over. So there you go. That's probably the worst part of the review, and now it's done.
Getting back to present tense me and good stuff, these head sculpts are pretty solid. Now, I'm not sure if you would agree, but I feel like this is more inspired by the look of the Kenner figure than it is the animated series itself. So your mileage may vary slightly, but I think all three head sculpts look great. Gotta love the inclusion of the Harvey No head sculpt. It seems like everybody has to at least attempt that at some point in their line. I have to stress one caveat, though. These are definitely not the same head sculpts that we saw in solicitation pictures. So I understand people who are frustrated or didn't like these as much because, yeah, they're definitely a departure from what they were showing us. It does get better, though, because the accessory loadout for this Batman is very, very good. It feels very Season 1-centric. You've got the Luminox spray or the luminol spray. You have the cutting torch. You have a gas mask. You have the infrared goggles, grappling hook with a claw, and not the world's greatest string, but hey, it's got a string. A couple batarangs, the throwing stars. It looks like a tracker and the Batmobile remote. And like I said, for anybody who was a big fan of Season 1, which is probably the greatest season of the entire show, that's, the best season of a show that was awesome all the way across. A lot of these kind of hit home, and it adds that nostalgia factor immensely. The only things I feel like he would have benefited from, like everybody else, I don't know why they didn't include an unmasked Bruce Wayne head with a mask down you could put around his neck. That just seems like a no-brainer. And if I have one personal nitpick, it's the lack of just a standard grippy hand. He has specialized gripping hands, but those are more of a personal preference kind of thing. What those nitpicks don't change, though, is just this undeniable feeling of just pure nostalgia when I picked this guy up. I had to customize one with a drape cape and some different trunks, and I also changed out his ankles for obvious reasons. And I gave myself a combat belt Batman. If you've looked at this figure on the second market, this guy goes for some money these days. And despite its faults, now that I have this Batman, I don't feel like I have to go chase down a vintage Kenner figure for, way too much money for a figure that I think was like, $3.99 when we bought him? And suffice to say, I couldn't just stop there. I've been buying up or finding or digging out my own old Kenner accessories to see if I can retrofit them to go on this Batman. And that has immensely improved my enjoyment of the figure. And it kind of put things in perspective for me a little bit, where it's like the things, like the articulation and, the ankles, it's not what I wanted, but it's damn close. And so it really hasn't diminished just the regular enjoyment of the figure, because maybe we get a little bit bogged down in that sometimes. So for comparisons, here he is with Supreme Knight Batman, who I was surprised to see is almost the same height. The silhouette of this figure is good, and I think the proportions are really good. I know he's usually, anime Batman comes across a little bit stouter sometimes, but even if you take these two McFarlane figures, which have the kind of shorter torso, I think the proportions on the Mezco are there, and the head sculpt, Kenner or not, is definitely better looking than what they accomplished there. But yeah, if I line them up side by side, the McFarlane figures tend to run a little bit smaller, but I feel like it's comparable, and that was another nice secret win is that he actually can kind of slide into your DC Direct collection, like alongside Grey Ghost here. And that looks pretty good. I kind of want to customize a Grey Ghost to go with him now. So I wanted to test that. I went out and got the new McFarlane Zatanna because I was curious if it actually scaled properly. And looking like at her head size and her hand size, yeah, I think they scale just fine. So that, yeah, kind of confirmed for me that the McFarlane line is comparable. This is my Jazzwares half Mezco lower body Ryu that I put some cloth goods on. I have a handful of animated figures, so I just kind of grabbed this for fun, but I actually think they look not bad together. This is the Tunchi Studios Terry Bogard from Fatal Fury. And while obviously his anime sculpt has a little bit more definition in the face, obviously has the more painted eyes, the higher relief, I actually think they look pretty good together too. And I'm not going to try to get too crazy on a Rogues Gallery for this Batman, but I have worked on a Killer Croc already. I made me a custom Bane, and that is that old school classic DC Superheroes Clayface behind him, and I think these all look pretty good together. So that, of course, brings us to the Joker, who was made to go with this Batman. And, you know, a lot of things went right here that maybe didn't go right on Batman. And I can't quite explain to you why. It's the damnedest thing. Here he is with those same rogues, so you can see where I'm kind of going here. And I don't think this is half bad, honestly. I might grab a couple more here and there. But if this is as far as I get with the Rogues Gallery, this is good Rogues Gallery. Here are some Mezco Jokers so you get an idea of the scaling, which is good. He is a little broader. Some of that is the cut of his jacket, but I think he is a stockier figure. He and Batman may share some parts. And here he is lined up with the other awesome Joker that came out last year, the Golden Age one, which is still probably my favorite Joker they've made. But this one is a strong runner-up at this point.
Now, when it comes to the Joker, I believe we're using the same base body here. I don't think there's much difference, really, other than, of course, like the forearms and the shins. But because it's the Joker and he's wearing a suit, things go a little better, I think, in this regard. You do get a little extra with the neck joint because you now have a separate piece there in the collar and then the one inside there. So double barbell there, double barbell in the collar. I can't fucking talk. But most importantly, shoulders, same thing. You see there's a little bit of butterfly going there. Obviously the padding of the suit is going to affect that. But with that being there, still, I think that's pretty good. Double jointed elbow. I feel like it gets a little bit tighter. I don't know why, but I think it does. I think that's actually a better bend than Batman has. Same ball jointed wrist in there. And then torso is very similar. You can actually see the sculpt as it is on that body through this shirt here. And there's the mid joint and then lower joint. Same thing, pretty good up. You know, here again, I think he actually gets a little better crunch than Batman does, but it's very similar. I thought they were the same body. I think they may yet still be the same body, but just how things are applied might be making a difference. Same kind of hips, about the same 90 degree. Son of a bitch, he's got better knees than Batman does. Look at that. And then, yes, the ankle is actually a slight improvement. It's got more side to side. That's just better all the way around. So I'm kind of flabbergasted here. I'm sure I'll talk about it, future me, I'll talk about it in the rest of the review, but it feels like the same stuff worked better here than it did on Batman. So articulation on Joker is pretty damn good.
I'll tell you what a real pisser about this is. It gets better as we go. You've got 4 head sculpts to Batman's 3, and like I said, Batman's feel kind of toyetic to me. These feel like they're out of an animation cell. They are extremely expressive and perfectly painted, and they're some of the best Joker heads I've ever damn seen. He does not come with any guns. There's probably a reason for that goes into licensing, but he does have weapons. So, if you need a Thompson like I gave him, you just go through your Fortnite figures. But he has a cane, a couple Joker fish, 3 Joker grenades, some dynamite, a stiletto. He has kind of a Joy Buzzer wristwatch kind of thing that shoots gas. I don't remember that from the cartoon, but it's probably in there. Classic cartoony bomb, Boston cream pie, and some playing cards. But I think he definitely looks best with a classic-looking Thompson. Now, Mezco has made plenty of Thompsons, so you can give him a realistic one, and I don't think it looks bad. But I've been really happy with this Hasbro Fortnite one that I stole from... Sorry, guys, I don't know Fortnite, but I'm sure you can figure it out. But where, you know, Batman has a few things here and there that obviously I have taken some issue with, I don't have that problem with Joker. I don't know if there's anything I would have done differently for this guy, and I'm maybe a little pissed off that Joker got the better end of this deal. I'm not sure how that happened or even why that happened, but I really like this Joker. So it was really almost an afterthought, but I had to buy the old Laughing Gas Joker Kenner accessories from the original release of that figure back in '92, and I'm pleased to say that gas mask actually fits on his face pretty good. I had to kind of make a new harness for the backpack, of course, and had to give the Laughing Gas gun a better trigger to hold on to, but there is something about this that makes me, I don't know, 10-year-old me would be so pissed to see this today. And really, that's where I'm at with the final thoughts thing. I think I can still recommend these figures fairly confidently because, again, if at worst Batman's a 7 out of 10, Joker's probably a 9 out of 10. The only reason I'm still kind of on recommending you Batman is because, like I said in the articulation section, I feel like the things that are iffy on him, we've already seen Mezco do properly without a problem. So I'm still a little bit, but again, you know, we do have this reinventing the wheel, this new learning curve thing every time we do something different. And it's not just Mezco, it's just figures in general. You try a new body style, you know, you think back to the times Legends has changed their articulation patterns and how sometimes it worked like shit. And then after a few waves, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, well, you got this dialed in, this is good. And so while like I said, I hate paying for learning curves, I recognize the necessity of such a thing. But the funny thing about all this is all that shit goes out the window when I put the combat belt on this Batman figure, or when I put that Laughing Gas backpack on that Joker, or when I put my DVDs in, because I'm still holding on to my DVDs, and all of a sudden all the critiques that I can make as a 44-year-old man don't mean shit, because there's something about this that takes me back to being in the third floor of ZCMI in Cottonwood Mall and walking down the toy aisle and seeing those Kenner blister packs for the first time and going, whoa, and everything kind of changed right then and there. You know, the Batman I had prior to that would have been, you know, the Dark Knight Collection ones from Kenner that all look like Keaton. And then here's this Batman that looks just like the cartoon. And, I mean, I dare say, you know, this Mezco aside, I don't know anybody's done it that well since. So if you were a fan of the cartoon, which you were, come on, don't even pretend like you're too cool for that shit. You do need these figures. And on that note, yeah, I think I still recommend them, and I'm actually excited to see how much further, how much deeper they go in the animated line. And I hate to throw this out there, but it would be interesting to see if there's an improvement made if we get to like a New Adventures or a Justice League Batman. Maybe they can correct some of these flubs here and there, and then I want to be mad about. But with all that said, thank you to Mezco Toys for helping me get these to take a look at them with you guys. And thanks for bearing with me, as it took me a really long time to put this review together. Not that it would show or anything. I mean, it's not like this is the most polished review I've ever done. But it's personal, right? So hopefully that comes across, and hopefully that is of some merit to you guys watching. So thank you to Mezco Toys. Thank you to my surprisingly large amount of followers. And we will see you again in the next video. Take care.